Hola, buenos días, soy Nico.
I'm so used to giving, and now I get to receive.
And today we are here to finish off another wonderful week's worth of content, but with something new. Nico, we are in a different venue because I wanted to start a new little mini series on my channel, and that is a vintage video highlight series. Nico! I talk about a lot of the OnlyFans girls on my page, from their tea to their content to their scamming. But in my personal time, I actually tend to watch a lot of vintage videos. Not the standard studio videos, I would say, but mostly the old early 2000s thug corn era. Nico, what is that? That is the golden era of black and brown adult cinematography to me personally. But before we get started on that, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for more exclusive videos that only appear on Patreon, weekly live streams of the multifaceted panel, and to help support the channel because YouTube strikes me with ad sustainability every video, so I make my money off of Patreon. If you enjoy this content and you want to see it keep coming, just check it out. There are different tiers depending on how much you want to give, and if you can't give financially, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. Now that we got plugging out of the way, let's get on to the actual video. So today I wanted to highlight one of the pinnacle movies from the quote-unquote thug corn era, which is Ho Tales. Nico, what is that? It is a movie starring Dream and a few other content creators, a few other performers. If you don't know who Dream is, he is one of the most popular thug corn era performers who mysteriously vanished. I was going to do a segment on him in my Where Are They Now series, but all trails on him seem to end at people saying he was deported. Unfortunately, I cannot find more information on him, but I wanted to do a highlight reel of his videos, seeing as how I feel like I talk about tea, I feel like I talk about mess and negative scenarios all the time. I want to start uplifting some of the performers that I truly appreciated and looked up to. So, Ho Tales. I'm going to talk about a specific part of the movie, which was a series involving Dream, Moyea, and then a third member, Remy Mars, who is not usually brought up in the conversation. So, let me set the scene. Moyea is in a hotel that was purchased for him by Dream. Dream, after bringing him towels, making sure that everything is right, asks, "Is there anything else I can do for you?" And Moyea said, "Actually, yeah, you can help me out. I'm looking for some tail." Nico, what do you mean? "I'm looking for the BBZN, the big booty zesty, And Dream said, "Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to give you tail, but I can give you some pipe." Nico! And when I tell you he gave him some pipe, he gave him some pipe. So Moyea said, "All right, we can set it up so that you can give me some tail later and I'll get some pipe now." What I want to preface this conversation with is if this is the first time you're watching this movie, you will see that it is very aggressive. Aggressive in the passionate way, such as the standard foreplay starts out and then they lead into the actual, highlights of the movie. And a lot of the highlights is basically Moyea going through it during the process, if you know what I mean, struggling, slightly fighting back. But the more research I did on Moyea, the more I realized this was a consensual interaction. Though it is aggressive, though it is very, take that, Moyea in his films has a pattern of constantly telling people to be more aggressive, to be more rough. So in this scenario, I just wanted to preface it by saying it is a bit rough in its action, but it is consensually done by two people who enjoy rougher, super happy adult fun time. So keep your mind at ease while watching it if you do normally shy away from more rough scenarios. Most people remember this movie, Ho Tales, for this specific scene, but I also want to reiterate that it is a story being told in this DVD. So, after this entire situation, after Dream got his tail from Moyea, he followed through on the promise. He ended up bringing Remy Mars, who was a prominent figure in the thug corn era, ranging from Poppy Thugs to Dog Pound USA to the more amateur-style movies, such as this one involving Dream and Moyea. I forget the production company that produced this movie, but I'll insert it here at this part of the video. So Remy Mars is actually introduced into the two people, and Dream basically said, here's my homeboy, I promise you some tail, and he's gonna give it to you. I'll let y'all get up to whatever y'all gonna get up to, and I'm gonna dip. And Remy Mars actually is the one that suggested in the scene, actually, why don't you stay? And we can make this like a little, you know, trio. What is that movie called? If you were a black kid in the 2000s and you had parents that got up to no good, you probably found this DVD called Troas, which means, you know, 1, 2, 3. So as you can tell by this premise, they eventually get started. And what I did appreciate is that unlike Dream and Moyea, where Dream basically, after the fellatio, got straight to business, they actually took time with the part of the movie, you know, eating it like groceries, if that makes sense. Because in these movies, it tends to lean towards more aggression and the top being the priority. But I do enjoy when they still take moments to make the bottom feel comfortable in their dynamic. So from there, they do have a very intimate and passionate, not as aggressive, three-way scene between Moyea, Remy Mars, and Dream, where they both top Remy Mars, which I thought was refreshing, seeing as how it went from aggression to genuine enjoyment of the moment. Unfortunately, when we do talk about this movie Hotels, it usually focuses solely on Dream and Moyea because they had the more impactful and quote-unquote memorable part of the movie. But I did want to re-emphasize that Remy Mars was a part of this story being told, and that as a whole, the movie still holds up. So if we're going to rate it out of the thug corn category, I would put this DVD personally 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for the sole reason that, yes, it is a bit amateur as in the camera quality, but I did appreciate that because it made it more prevalently known that it is an early 2000s production that was done by Black people, which I do appreciate when it comes to cinematography that focuses on Black and brown people when it's made by their groups. So as a whole, I would suggest going out and checking it out. If you can buy a copy, go for it. But for most vintage pieces where performers are no longer gaining revenue from said product, I usually tell you enjoy it how you can. If you find it online, kudos to you. But I will not put my cosign on that because that's illegal. But if you like this kind of content and you want more vintage suggestions and or recaps, definitely drop down in the comments and give me some suggestions of your favorite vintage movies, because I tend to go based on the performers that I know, and then I look up their catalog and the name of the movies and see if it was actually as impactful and memorable based on what they produced in their career. Because if you do not know Dream in particular, he was in a lot of movies that did very well within the communities of Black and brown people. So once again, if you like this kind of content, make sure to drop a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Boom. And now for a brief yet sincere shout out to this week's Third Eye Tier subscribers, Phoenix T and Tyrell JM. Your continued support is greatly appreciated, and thank you once again to everyone who supports the channel. And this week's live stream discussion will be over vintage classics, which films you have to bring out of the vault when you need a certain itch scratched. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely tune in.